you so much for joining us with today. And my name is Priyanka Chahal, and I have the privilege to moderate this session, and it's going to be very exciting today. So believe me. So stay tuned with us. I serve as a program associate at Journalist and Writers Foundation, and also as a youth representative to the United Nations Department of Global Communication for the JWF. And this session today is on the global youth engagement. So that's our theme, and this is our sixth session. So we are very happy that we have successfully completed our 5 sessions. Every session was really great, interacting with you all, learning from you all, and of course learning from our different expert panelists who joined us. And just to brief you all, and also to our speakers, that this program, which is a Global Youth Leadership Program, is an immersive year-round experience that is tailored for the group of young individuals from around the world. And we are having people from 18 to 32 years of age who are in the leadership, teamwork, and we provide opportunities. So this is kind of a training program for the young people. So what we seek is to inspire those global leaders to realize their full potential and to participate in the initiatives which are aligned with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And this program also cultivates leaders, change makers, and by exchanging the knowledge, initiatives, then making impacts on their grounds, in the grassroots, and of course, contributing in the economic and environmental issues. Development, of course, for the climate change as well. That is the biggest threat for all of us in the century. What is exciting for today is that so this session is actually having three expert speakers. We have 3 speakers, and 2 of them are climate advocates and really doing the great job around the world. So it's a very great opportunity to connect with the speakers, to ask questions from them. And after concluding the remarks of the speakers, we will open the question and answer for. So please feel free to use the chat box to put your question, any kind of comment that you will be having in your mind to ask from speakers. So our third speaker is gonna join us a bit late, but he'll be there. So meanwhile, I'm going to introduce our 2 speakers here. First is Prachi Shivgaonkar. She is the founder of Cool the Globe, and Prachi is a climate innovator and the founder of award-winning app. That's an app for climate action called Cool the Globe. Till date, users from 110 countries have come together on the app and saved 2 million kilogram emissions. And Prachi has been awarded by the Finance Minister of India as a Young Changemaker of the Year. She is also the youngest and first Indian citizen to appointed on the advisory board of Climate Leadership Coalition, along with the former Prime Minister of Finland. And this is very interesting because Google also made a TV campaign inspired by her story of building Cool the Globe app. Currently she serves as a climate change to Tata Power. She is the founder of the Global Youth Council with the President of Colombia and Nobel Peace Laureate Juan Manuel Santos, formed to address existential threats to global community. So she is doing the great work. One more achievement that I can share, but we have very less time, so I kind of describe everything about Prachi. But Prachi also presented India at COP27 in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, where she received COP27 Young Scholar Award from Environmental Ministry of India. And she spent her traveling across the India, covering the stories of youth, farmers, waste pickers communities, and she is a real game changer and a youth change maker and very well-known face right now. So please, Prachi, floor is yours. And just meanwhile, just a brief, but I will introduce Parneet exclusively after Prachi, but we have Parneet here as well. She's also the climate advocate. Just keeping it as a suspense, I'll introduce her as well. So taking the excitement back to Prachi. So over to you, Prachi. And I would like to have some of the question from you. But before that, please, if I miss something in your bio, please feel free to share it with our audience. Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay. I think one of the most important things of all the things you mentioned, Priyanka, is that we met at COP27. So you mentioned the being a COP27 young scholar. I think my favorite part was meeting you and meeting other young climate advocates around the world. And it's so nice that we could not have imagined maybe being here when we met 2 years back. So it's very interesting how things take a turn. So thank you so much for inviting me here and introducing me to this wonderful community of young leaders. And I don't know, I think um, whenever I get to, I remember early on in my career, I'd made a list of what kind of a career I'd like to build. And I'd made 3 rules for it long before I even got into climate. My first rule was that I wanted to travel the world and I wanted to travel my country. My second rule was that I wanted to make some kind of a difference through my career. And my third rule was that I wanted to meet interesting and inspiring people around the world. And so when I get to be in spaces like this, I feel so content that the third rule that I'd made for myself is coming true. So I really cherish being able to be um, in this virtual room with all of you because I'm very proud of all the work you're doing, and I'm very inspired that we have so many young leaders from different parts of the world coming together to try and shape the world in a positive way. So thank you so much for having me here. um, I think my journey really began. So, I think my journey really began with this very question. You know, as a young girl, I wondered how can I make some kind of a difference through my career. And when I was 18, I decided to take a gap year and travel across India, working on issues that I thought were impacting my country. And I had, of course, heard about climate change then, but I'd only read about it till then. You know, I'd read about the extreme effects of climate change, extreme weather events, sea level rise, coastal erosion, loss of biodiversity, melting glaciers. And I remember thinking, all of this sounds so worrying and heavy, but I don't know if I care enough about this. You know, I cared about people, and I cared about I remember thinking we have enough issues in front of us. Why should I worry about polar ice melting in some other part of the world? And so what I decided to do was to leave climate change aside for a while, even if everybody in the world said this is the most pressing issue. I decided to work on things that I thought were impacting my country on ground. So I spent about 4 months traveling with farmers across Maharashtra. I spent 4 months working with waste pickers, and then another 4 months working with children and in education. And it was during that time that I had a very interesting experience, which was I'd only read about climate change till then. But for the first time, I started meeting people and seeing the faces and the voices behind these very catastrophic impacts of climate change that I'd read about. And they changed my entire perspective. It was meeting people that made me realize that climate change is not about these big words. As ordinary citizens, we care about very simple things. We care about our homes, our food, our health, our livelihoods. And most importantly, we care about our families and the people around us. And climate change is affecting all of that. Um, I remember meeting a bright young girl when I was working in education, and I asked her, which standard are you in? She said, I don't go to school these days. Why is that? It was because her house was seeing a drought, and nobody else in her family could afford to stay at home during that time. And on my way back, it kept playing on my head, and I remember thinking, why is this happening? It was because her town was seeing a drought. Water was being used scarcely throughout. Um, and it was the first time I realized that when we hear about extreme weather events like droughts and floods and wildfires happening more frequently and more intensely because of climate change, it can also mean that a bright young girl like her has to skip school and stay at home to fill buckets with water. And this I cared about. A farmer taught me more about climate change than any global expert could. He said, small farmers like me can't afford to keep doing it anymore because the weather has become so unreliable. And when I can't afford to buy food, there are 1,000 people behind me who can't afford to. When I can't afford to grow food, there are 1,000 people behind me who can't afford to buy food. So climate change means more and more people go hungry. This I care about. I met climate refugees who were working as waste pickers. I met young children who had to relocate from their homes and start a new school because of floods. And these are people who made me realize how climate change is not only about climate change, it's like a devil in disguise. It's affecting every single issue that we see on ground. It's affecting our education, it's affecting our food, it's affecting our access to basic necessities, affecting life as we know it. And um, it was only when I realized that did I start caring about climate change. And I remember, but then it still seemed like this huge, larger than life issue, right? Um, I remember going to my father and asking him, what can an ordinary girl like me do about a big problem like climate change? And um, we decided to start from our own home. We took up a small challenge to reduce our carbon footprint by 10% that year. And so I started researching on which activities of mine are leading to most carbon emissions. How do I reduce them? And I first started doing very simple things. You know, my college was, university was 10 kilometers away. I'd go to college on a cycle 4 days a month. Or we started recycling some of the plastic in the house. We put up a solar panel to heat our water. Some small changes like this we made. And then I realized that if I wanted to continue on this journey, it was important for me to measure the impact of my actions. So I started researching on how do I calculate my avoided emissions from taking these sustainable actions. How many of you measure the calories in your food? Or I'm sure many of us have like an idea of what are the calories in our food. So I started thinking the same way, why can't I know the emissions behind my actions and the emissions I'm saving with my sustainable actions? So I started doing that. And then, something very interesting happened, which is that I began to enjoy it. It almost felt like a fun game that I was playing with my family. And it felt good that at least at my own level, I was doing something. And maybe because I was enjoying it so much, a lot of my friends, neighbors, people around me started to take notice, and they would come to me and say, it looks like you're doing something interesting and we would like to be a part of it. And that's really when I started thinking about how do I take this individual quest I've started at home and bring global citizens like you on it with me. And from this, we came up with the idea to build Cool the Globe app. I was still in college at the time. So I requested my director if I could start this as, instead of interning somewhere else, I could start a project of my own, and he approved it. And that's really how Cool the Globe began, from my dorm room. And we didn't really have access to anything at the time. I had no idea about this ecosystem. So we just learned everything that was needed to build an app on our own. We spent thousands of hours into research, took help from a lot of other young students, and worked day and night for 3 years and built Cool the Globe app. And by the time I graduated, we launched it. And the way it would work is, as soon as a user would come in, they'd get a monthly target to reduce their carbon footprint. And then they see hundreds of simple day-to-day climate actions we all can take, from the time we wake up to the time we go to sleep. How can we become more sustainable? And I record that in the app, and I see the CO2 emissions I'm avoiding with each action. So when we launched this platform, we realized that now the real work starts. We have the app, but the real task is in convincing people that in the face of climate change, our actions matter and we can make a difference. So I got some of my friends together, and we started making video campaigns about how the common man can, what the common man can do about climate change. And our message was very simple: let each one of us start by reducing our own carbon footprint by 10%. So we started putting out those campaigns, and very interesting, people began sharing those with each other, and they started coming on the app and taking climate actions, people of all ages. I remember a young girl emailed me and said, what change can I make in my life to fight climate change? And she started going to her school on a cycle, recorded saving 60 kg of emissions, which was 3 times her weight. Another person, called me and said that, I'm a very busy person. I don't know if there are many changes I can make, but I made a simple change to increase the AC temperature in my office cabin by 2 degrees Celsius. And he recorded saving 12 kg of carbon emissions by doing that. Somebody else said, I decided this month to cut down on cost, to save money a little bit. So instead of buying new clothes, I've raided my siblings' closet and I've stolen some of their clothes. And they recorded saving 10 kg CO2 emissions on the app by doing this. So people started taking all sorts of climate actions that made sense to them. They began recording these on the app. And I really saw how one climate action inspired 10 others and created a ripple effect for change. So, a lot of young people around the world started coming to me and saying, we want to be Cool the Globe's ambassador for climate action. So, then young people from different countries became our ambassadors and started spreading the word in their countries. And before we knew it, through citizen led, youth led movements like this, our app reached 140 countries across the world. We reach over 30 million people through our campaigns. And as I speak to you, in fact, over 100,000 people came together on the platform and recorded saving 5 million kg greenhouse gas emissions simply by making these small lifestyle changes for the environment. And this for us is just the beginning. For us, the next phase now is a lot of our users come on the app and say, these are the changes I'm making, but I want to now do this with my friends, my peers, my colleagues. So now we're launching Cool the Globe for communities so that universities, schools, organizations, or even cities can create their own climate action dashboard and motivate citizens to come together to fight climate change. And I think if there's anything that I've learned from this journey is that everybody has an innate desire to make a difference. People talk about how a lot of people don't care about the environment, but I think my experience has been that ordinary citizens do care about the environment when we realize how it's affecting us in our day-to-day lives. I When I was in school, I used to think, I used to read in the history books about freedom fighters and innovators and change makers. And I used to think, I should have been born then. I live in such boring times. But today, after I started working in this space when I was 18, now I'm 26. So after 8 years of being in climate action, I realized that we find ourselves at the cusp of our youth in perhaps some of the most defining decades of human existence. Because our actions today are not only going to affect us, but they're going to affect generations to come. And for young people like us, that's not just a responsibility, it's an opportunity to make an impact. It's an opportunity to change the world through simple actions we take in our day to day lives. And so it's really been a privilege to be able to work on Cool the Globe app. In the years to come, I've also had the opportunity to advocate for climate action on various platforms, like Priyanka mentioned. I got to represent India at COP27, got to speak about grassroots climate action and what that looks like. I got to be a part of, United Nations Climate Week last year and COP28 again. And I think, a lot of people keep asking me, don't you feel, how do you keep alive your optimism and hope? Don't you feel eco anxiety? And I think what I always say is that yes, maybe from afar it looks like we are trying to prevent a doomsday scenario, but when you come closer, the climate space is a very exciting space to be in, and especially when you represent and go on these international forums, you really sense that because you see every day, you meet every day organizations who are serious about climate action. You meet innovators who are coming up with great startups and technological solutions. You meet media houses who are covering issues that matter on ground. And most importantly, you get to meet young people like all of you who are looking at how can their career be high impact and shape the world. So I think there's a great sense of excitement, hope, and community. We have to come together and fight this in the next 30 years. And I'm very privileged that I get to do this with inspiring people like you. So thank you so much for having me today. Let me know if you have any questions, but it's really been an honor to meet all of you. I would love to continue to speak more and hopefully do something together in each of your countries.
Thank you so much, Prachi. Actually, you have covered so many questions that I was having. So you have covered them very, beautifully, and you are reflecting the message that is very great. And I'm sure that the learning is having no limit. Actually, we learn from each other, and when we learn we act. And there's, of course, I also agree with the line that you just mentioned, that we have the innate desire to make the change and to build up the things around us and to solve the issues. So thank you, and I'll be coming up to you very soon. Meanwhile, I'm just moving to Ali. We are having our next expert speaker, Ali Mustafa. Ali is a youth development professional who brings him over 14 years of experience as human rights advocate and a youth mobilizing force and a youth development expert. He has worked with many multilateral organizations in various capacity and has developed programs on youth and gender and successfully implemented them around the world. He also founded the International Youth Conference in 2019, and since then engaging youth from global south and mobilizing the youth forces. In his role with the United Nations Population Activity, he engaged with a group of university students to present youth mobilization programs to various targeted communities. And Ali is currently serving as the consultant for United Nations Affairs for AFS intercultural programs and a civil society representative to the United Nations Department of Global Communications. And previously, he served as a co-chair of two youth representative steering committee at the United Nations Department of Global Communication. And Ali holds a graduate degree in international affairs, and he is currently a PhD candidate in the political science, and his research is on young engagements in politics. So, over to you, Ali. We have a lot of things to learn from you, and I would like to just put a brief questions that what impact are the young leaders having in their respective society, and why it is very important, especially the work that you are doing and about the meaningful youth participation at the UN, not just UN, but also in the grassroots communities. So over to you.
Thank you, Priyanka, and thank you, the leadership of Journalist Writer Foundation, Mehmet and Jammer, for inviting me to speak with young people today on this very important topic. And good morning to everyone from New York. As Priyanka mentioned, my name is Ali, and I'm currently based in New York City. And she have read about my profile already. So young people today in the world are approximately 1.4 billion young people in the world. And that is the population that is under the age of 24, only under the age of 24. But then there is a population that is under the age of 29. And then there is the population that is under the age of 34. That makes a population under the age of 34, makes a population of over 2 billion people that are worldwide right now. And 60% of those young people are currently present in global south. Like global south means like Africa, Middle East, Asia, southern part of Asia, Far East part of Asia, and all these places. So this region is completely populated with young people, as I mentioned, over 60% of the population. And we believe that these young people, when we founded the International Youth Conference in 2019, that was the aim of founding the International Youth Conference, that we will be able to engage those young people from all across the world into the decision-making processes with the United Nations Department of Global Communications initially, because it was founded as the outcome of the 2019 Civil Society Conference. And the aim was that we will be engaging young people with all the decision-making process that we were involved from with different UN agencies. So it was really important for us to do that, because we all come from the same sort of the region. From mostly of our team members were from the global south when we founded, and we did the outreach to young people all across the world to get their input into the civil society conferences, input in the outcome document, like what are their pledges, what they want to do, and what they think, what are their issues. And UN were not able to reach them out previously, and we were able to reach those young people out with the help of local community leaders, respecting their local cultures, respecting their local languages, and we mobilize the local leaders who can get involved into the documentation process of the civil society conference. And after the civil society conference, we wanted to continue doing what we were doing, that is reaching out young people, engaging them with the UN system, and we're able to provide their inputs, their representation to the various UN agencies, and including UN Department of Global Communication, UN Habitat, UN IOM, and many other agencies, that these young people who are from Global South, if provided the opportunity, can do wonders, can create programs, can do a whole lot of impact in their countries, and especially in terms of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. To note, like as I mentioned, the population of young people, that is over 60% under the age of 34 in Global South. And we believe that if we are not if we are marginalizing those young people and not including, sorry, not including their voices into the decision making process, or not including their voices in the global diaspora, where we do a lot of different conversations on sustainable development goals, from peace to agriculture, from climate change to education, gender equality. It means that we are excluding 60% of the population from the main decision making process. And if the voices from the grassroots are not included into these important conversations, then it means that these documents or these processes are being carried out without the input, voices, and action from young people, for like you guys who and so that was really important for us to make sure that we are trying to include the voices of all of you into such processes using different mechanisms. International Youth Conference is one of those mechanisms that we use to do that, but then there are many other mechanisms that we work with. For example, there's upcoming Youth Assembly, and Youth Assembly will take place in August in New York City. Again, that is a platform where young people come together, get engaged, they learn about different things related to the UN Sustainable Development Goals. They go back in their communities, make impact, and create impact, and then we report that impact to the relevant people on showing how young people are making these impact. The tool for young people, the most important tool for young people to make an impact right now, is the community that they are creating, the community of the youth. So that community is really important for for the people, because you guys are creating a community around you that is more energetic and that is more powerful. And what makes you more powerful is the passion to create change, and also education. Like if you are in educational institute already and you are creating a community around you, being a leader, it means that you are actually uh, mobilizing a whole lot of different people around you with your thought process. So we really encourage young people to, get involved in such process. If you have, if you have any program, if you have any projects, and if you have any idea in mind, you need to put that into action. And making those ideas into action requires only one thing, and that is the first step. You just need to take first step in mobilizing your idea. Otherwise, your idea will remain idea. There's so many people who are gone from this world with the great ideas in their brain. They wanted to make impact in this world, but they were so scared, they were so afraid to take the first step, that they are gone from this world with the great ideas, and now their graveyards full of the great ideas that were never implemented. So if you have a great idea and you think that it's crazy, it's not achievable, I think that's not true. If anything that comes in your brain and you can make it happen, I think it's about time that you start implementing that idea. Just take a first step towards it. That's how we created International Youth Conference. That's how we do whole lot of different things. and we are successfully making a whole lot of impact, not at the level that we were supposed to, like engaging a whole lot of different people, engaging a lot of different organizations, but we're there, and we encourage you to do the same. And you are already connected with the great organizations and people like Gemmer and JWF. I think it's the best platform for you to start anything you want to start. And happy to answer any question if you have any question. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ali, for sharing the very important insights that are helpful for the young people, especially when you say that we need young people and the people who are not empowered yet with their potential. So it's our also duty to make them learn about the things and to train them to act towards the issues. And of course, UN cannot reach out every single person. So that's why the civil society organizations, initiatives, and like your conference, like other organizations are working on the youth empowerment and the global issues. So they're very important to bridge the gap between them. So thank you so much. I'll be coming back to you with another more questions. So we are running out of time, but I'm moving to our third speaker now. We are having Praneet from India. Parneet Kaur is a policy emphasis, sustainability, and women empowerment advocate who is reinventing diplomacy and advocacy through her creative activities. She is an emerging Indian poet who debuted in December 2022 at COP15. And since then, she has performed in front of many people, CEOs, politicians, diplomats. She has been to COP28 in Dubai, advocating for the climate change. And she is also the founder of Poetry for the Planet. So it's an initiative by her where she writes poem and empower the people to, express themselves, how they're feeling about the planet. And they're also writing the solutions in the form of the poetry. And this is also aimed to heal the climate community. So over to you, Praneet. The floor is yours. Just one more thing that she has also been the part of Y20, which was part of the G20, and India was having the presidency of the G20. So over to you, Prachi. We are looking forward to learn many things from you. Especially, my focus will be to learn from you that how the grassroots people, like the people like us who aren't having any training, how we can contribute, and how do you think that the role of young people from around the world, why it is very important in community building and to solve and to advocate for the issues and how we can do our best. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Priyanka, and the JWF Foundation to bring you over here because I think it's so important to talk about the ways that we as young people can engage. So I think I should delve more into my journey. So my journey started and is still continuing because of a very important exam that is super well known in India, which is the civil services exam. So I've had the dream of becoming a diplomat, and that is the reason why I am doing all that I'm doing right now. It got me into Indianizing feminism, which is to redefine feminism and to adapt it to Indian context, which was through my first organization, GYLP. And then second, climate advocacy, which manifested in the form of being part of negotiations, and then now in the form of a creative endeavor called Poetry for Planet, which is an international youth-led organization where we are decolonizing the climate narrative through the power of poetry. So, it's a very good question that you've asked that, how can young people engage at the grassroots level and how can anyone engage in the climate space? So this is one of the answers that I have. In addition to what Prachi has already invented, I think that that's really great to come across. And so as young people, we are all figuring out how do we want to contribute to climate change. So one thing that is missing from the narrative is how do we own our stories? Because everybody is facing climate change as of now. So the way we perceive climate change, the way we experience it, needs to be communicated in that sense, communicated in your language and on your terms. And that's how negotiation, I think that's the basis of influencing the negotiations, influencing the policymakers. And Poetry for Planet specifically came out of this urge to address two things, primarily eco-anxiety. So I have been writing poems since the age of 13 myself. However, last year, I finally introspected and reflected back on certain elements, certain aspects of my life, and I realized that poetry has been there for me at my lowest moments. And why do I mention that? It's because when you are in the climate space, we are prone to eco anxiety. So I was wondering, how do we take care of the people who are working within the climate space, who are working at the front lines? What is the tool that can be used to heal them? So I took inspiration from a time in my life where I hit rock bottom and I knew that I could not, recover from that. And there poetry was for me. It stood there for me, it was there for me, and it became my refuge. I took inspiration from that, and that's a gift. So Poetry for Planet is the gift to the climate community to own the narrative, to heal through eco-anxiety, because I believe that writing and especially expressing ourselves in terms of stories, poems, is not new, it's not novel, it is part of our culture. If you look at how how our culture has been defined, how our history has been defined, it's been always about stories, it's been always about folklores. I seek inspiration for all the women who are, I come from Punjab in India, so Punjab is currently going through an ecocide. The water is polluted and there are so many issues, environmental as well as social issues. But back, a couple of years, decades back, the women in Punjab, they faced a lot of social taboos. They were not allowed to leave the presence of their home. They were not allowed to, be part, do some things that I take for granted. There were, I remember, and I just backtracked and I realized that how did these women survive, in these times? And what was their tool of survival? What was their tool of keeping alive in these times? And it was stories. It's about the folklores. It's about the commentaries that they've made, social commentaries filled with satire that are part of our culture now. And it was like a mind-blowing moment because I'm also a very ardent advocate of women in diplomacy, as I myself aspire to be one. And when I look at the dynamics of how women throughout history have, regardless of whether they're educated or not, how they have used poetry as a medium to cut across social taboos. So it's a tool that they have invented for themselves. And that's what I want to give to the climate community. And what I'm trying to also, emphasize by giving that example is that these women, they did not learn the Shakespearean language. They did not learn the Shakespearean English to do that. They did that in their own language. And today, the Punjabi music industry, it's known like worldwide. I don't know if you know of this really amazing artist, Diljit Dosanjh. He has done a lot of collaborations with Western artists. So these are stories, these are poems, and I think that humanity needs resilience. It has always been through storytelling that we have survived. So that's how Poetry for Planet came into being. I think that's the core inspiration. And what we are doing right now is we have launched a global poetry gala. So we got our organization, we established it last year. It's a global international organization. And uh, I remember it crisply. 6 months later, COP28, which was my first COP, I we got an invitation from International Labour Organization to host a joint event. And I remember crisply telling my team that do not expect to go to COP unless you have some work done. Unless we are doing some work, nobody's going to COP. But we get an invitation, and that is life changing for me because I realize that there is a dearth of decolonizing the narrative of our stories. And even right now, when I interact with indigenous communities, indigenous leaders, because that's how I have evolved, my understanding of climate action has evolved over the years, by interacting with global leaders from across the world. It shows that these stories that really, hit me somewhere. And I feel like these stories need to be represented at the global stage, because the jargon that is produced in the negotiation rooms, that is not digestible to the people who are suffering. So personally speaking, I went to give an exam recently, and I was sitting in the examination hall, and there were two people that distinctly I remember. And I remember the feet of the woman who was right in front of me. She's also competing for the exam. But I remember her feet. I crisply remember the mud on her feet. And I remember the other person, and it was, I think, 45 degrees that day. And I remember I wondered to myself that there are so many people, who do not have the privilege to have like to have the air conditioned rooms. They don't have the privilege. And these are the people who are sitting for an examination to become officers, to become policymakers. And I broke down after coming back from the exam, because I am personally drawn by these examples. I was looking out, I was looking out of the window while coming back, and I felt so privileged in the with this idea that there are people, there are vendors, street vendors, construction workers who are out there in such heat. And I broke down in front of my mom, and my mom was my mom is actually a huge inspiration behind all that I do. So I just broke down, and I realized that, that these stories are not just written, these are the poems that I was, that man who was hauling a very, heavy piece of concrete, this woman with her mud on her feet. These are the people who suffer the brunt of climate change. And these are the stories that sometimes do not even need to be written. These are the poems that happen around us. And I think that each one of us either is a poem itself, or are witnessing a poem happening around us. There is this thing that's happening around us. And that is why Poetry for Planet is there, And as I mentioned, my mom. So, and I also mentioned that I've been a poet since the age of 13. Um, why do I mention that? Because my mom has a huge role to play in making me a very environmentally sensitive person, even before I knew about climate change. So when I started writing about climate change, or the poems, when I started doing all of this climate activism in 2014, I did not know about these forums, United Nations, and all of these places that you can talk about climate change at these forums. I was far detached, but what I did around the time was write poems, love poems addressed to nature, and I still do that. It was very it was not something that I could share with my peers, because it was not a love poem addressed to my lover, but it was a love poem addressed to sun, perhaps moon, perhaps rain. So, but now when I look back 10 years later, it was all there. It was all in front of me, that this is going to be my medium. As I, and right now, what I'm doing through it is building bridges between the climate space and the diplomacy, the corporate space. So this is how, we can, I think that this is my journey, and I hope that, everyone can be part of it. As we run our poetry gala, today, I just wanted, and I keep emphasizing that you don't have to be a poet to be part of this uh, movement that we are running. We just want to know your truth on your terms. So that's my story, and I hope that that's been insightful for everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Praneet, for sharing your brave story, and that is very beautiful and inspiring. And this is not very complicated. I mean, this is a very simple story, and I think many people relate with you when in the daily lives that we do our, monotonous work. So we just have the desire to have the passion to, see how the things are happening. So thank you so much. I'll be coming back to you for the last remarks. We are running out of time, but I'd like to go back to Prachi. Prachi, do you have anything for the global people, for the young people, especially how they can have that fire inside them? Like many of the people with us are that they they think that they do not know anything, how they can contribute, how you would like to say to them, what are the spaces that you may know and how they can engage with you or with your mission. So, and meanwhile, I can also ask our participants, please write your questions. And Prachi, I like to request that please keep it very brief, just maybe like 2 or 3 powerful lines for the young people, and then we can move for our other 2 speakers for their remarks, and then we can have the question and answer session. Thank you.
I think the young people here today don't need any advice from me. That's why they're here. They already, all of you are an inspiration. So just keep doing what you're doing. Believe in the power of not just the work you're doing, but also in the power of your actions. So I know each one of you is working towards an impact-driven initiative. I think, just start taking action today, and you'd see your action will inspire many others and create a ripple effect for change.
Mhm. Thank you, Prachi. Ali, would you like to say anything? Just very brief for the young people, and then we will move to Parneet and for our question and answer sessions.
Just the same thing, keep moving forward, and I will say the same thing. Like, you have any idea, you want to take any action, you have to make it happen, implement it, take first step towards it, no matter what. All you have to do is just to take a first step and making it happen, and you will see the other steps will follow right after your first step, because the first step is the hardest to take in anything or you want to do. Just that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ali. Parneet, back to you. Any 2 lines?
Yeah. So the only line that I want to say is own your narrative. Do not let the world tell you who you are, what you can do. Own it. Write it yourself. That's all.
Beautiful. Thank you, Parneet. So, dear participants, now it's your turn to speak, to ask the question from our expert speakers here, because this is a very great opportunity. If I would be at your place, I would have many questions to ask from all of them. So please use the chat box, or simply just raise your hand to ask anything, or just to ask any suggestions for the work that you're doing, and how you can collaborate with them. So floor is yours. Is anybody here who want to take the lead?
Bianca,
You can.
maybe I can break the ice and share my
Yes, you're right.
appreciations, to our panelists, Parneet, Ellie, Prachi. Thank you so much. I think we did a good job convening these extraordinary speakers from diverse disciplines of storytelling, literacy, climate change, and surely diplomacy. So thank you so much. I highly appreciated listening your insights. And my first question will go to Ali. Since now this is the 6th session of the Global Youth Leadership Program, and in our former sessions we have discussed about the SDGs, the importance of global diplomacy, human rights mechanisms available at United Nations, humanitarian assistance, and etc. So, and we are approaching a very significant time. UNGA is coming up, United Nations General Assembly, a critical time where we will convene world leaders from different parts of the world in New York. I know that every UNGA is significant, but I think this will be a little bit up forward with the Summit of the Future, and we will have 3 different declarations on Pact for the Future, Declaration of Future Generations, and the Global Digital Compact. So I would really appreciate to have your brief summaries on why this year's UNGA is extra significant, any opportunities that you foresee for young individuals to be active at this critical conjuncture, because to inform the audience as well, today is the day that Secretary General launches his reporting on the status of the SDGs. And last year, the picture was not really positive. We had about 15% of success for the implementation of SDGs. And the frightening fact was that about 37% was in the regression, meaning that the SDGs were in a worse state than they used to be back in 2015. But this negative picture, in fact, provides, I believe, more opportunities for young individuals, to raise their opinions on what they think is going wrong at the United Nations and bring in a fresh perspective, an innovative perspective. So I would love to hear, your insights, Ali, on why this September is extra important and will set the ground for the next phase of the SDGs.
Um, Thank you, Gemma, for this question. This year is extra important because of the Summit of the Future taking place, and not just the Summit of the Future, it's also the September High Level Week that is from the 22 to 27. It is going to be very important week, not just because of the UN General Assembly, but because of the Summit of the Future taking place from 22 to 23. And then before that, on the weekend before that, from 19 to 20, we have the activation days, especially for young people who are going to be in New York. They can attend the activation days. Not the Summit of the Future, but the activation days are specifically designed for the youth. And as you mentioned, like there's the pact of the future, then the pact for the future generations, and everything is going on. Not just that, because the Summit of the Future will going to set the theme or tone for the world for next 25 to 30 years, not just SDGs. We are definitely behind SDGs on a whole lot of different things, and we will know today later when the report will be released. That's a different thing, but there are gaps. There's a situation that does not look good, where we should be from here onwards. We are 6 years. Uh, uh, we have only 6 years left to achieve the SDGs, but it does not look as what it's supposed to look like at this point, at this time. And there are a lot of things going on in Summit of the Future is part of the SDGs, but it goes beyond the SDGs. If we do not achieve SDGs, what's going to happen? And what are the next step and things? As I mentioned, 25 to 30 years policy are going to be decided in the Summit of the Future and Pact for the Future. For young people, there are many opportunities as um, there are many side events will be taking place during the time. There will be many other things that are going to take place during the time, and I highly encourage them to be part of those conversations. And to be specifically, like, if the journal assembly that takes place, if that's not accessible to young people, but then there are so many other opportunities taking place just outside the UN headquarters. If they are in New York in September, they can be part of those activities. We are organizing the Informal Youth Summit of the Future next week in September from 25 to 29 in New York City. And the reason to conduct that summit is that because there is no specific youth event for you to get involved with the Summit of the Future, and it's being kept very exclusive for the member states and some accredited organizations. And we came up with this idea to have the broader global sphere involved into the Summit of the Future. So we are doing the Informal Youth Summit of the Future, but then there are other youth events or side events that are going to take place that are linked directly or indirectly with the Summit of the Future. Besides that, we are going into the active planning for 5 side events during the Summit of the Future, besides the Informal Youth Summit. And those 5 side events are youth-led side events that are going to take place, and they are going to be on the 5 specific chapters of the Summit of the Future. If you know about the 5 chapters, they are sustainable development and financing, international peace and security, science, technology, and innovation, youth and future generation, and transforming global governance. So we will be doing 5 youth-led side events on these topics, and we'll try to create an outcome document out of these events and try to make it part of the outcome for the UN General Assembly. So we're really trying to involve young people from all around the world to be part of such discussions, part of such important conversations that are taking place at the UN, because we're talking about the Pact for the Future. But then if there are no young leaders involved, it does not make sense for me, at least, to call it Pact for the Future if there is no involvement of young people into such decision-making processes and such important documents. So that's my answer to your question, Chair.
Thank you so much, and thank you also for noting that there's a chapter significantly targeting to boost meaningful, timely youth engagements in the coming up chapters of the SDGs. And just like you noted, what's going to happen if we may not be able to be at the place where the SDGs were foreseeing by 2030. As far as I closely follow up Ali and his initiatives on social media platforms, I think one of the most outstanding features of any engagement that Ali is leading is the inclusivity. So please, Priyanka has already shared his social media links. Follow up Ali closely, as he's quite active in sharing opportunities, making announcements, and I'm pretty sure the things that he also underlined will be hybrid. As far as I know, any event that AFS or IYC leads create a great opportunity to be active through online engagement ways as well. So we look forward to boosting your actions on any platform. So over to you, Priyanka.
Thank you, Jammer. Thank you, Ali, for sharing. And this is very important. I just shared the link of the conference that Ali founded. So it's going to be the informal summit of the future and also his LinkedIn. So you can just connect with him and learn and get inspired by his work. So I'm coming back to the audience and participants. If you have any question, then just feel free to raise your hand or just unmute yourself if you have anything specific to ask, because we are having this great opportunity. You must not lose it. Is anybody's having question? I do not see any question in the chat box.
It can be a comment as well. It doesn't have to be a question necessarily. Anything that you want to share about the topics that are discussed, any local perspectives that anybody is interested in sharing.
Well, if not, then I can ask a question by myself, and I think other can also relate with that question. So I have a question any of you can answer. So basically, when a young person, getting confused in their path, especially in the career path as well, when we are completing the school, and we do not feel that where we have to go. So this is the first priority, of course. Then we do not have the time to think about the issues that we are having in our surrounding, and we really do not know that what we have to do. And overwhelmed by the imposter syndrome, even if we are doing great. So how you suggested that those young people who do think that they don't know anything, but actually they have the potential. So what are the techniques, what are the suggestions that you would like to tell these young people, to know their potential, so they can, just feel inspired, and they can easily also contact you to share the projects or something, or at least to start something in their community, how to deal with that imposter syndrome. Moreover, how they can take the first step, as Ali mentioned, that the first step is the very hardest step that you just have to take. So maybe Prachi, you'd like to go ahead?
Yeah. It's very interesting. I love to always go in schools and interact with young people, because even younger than me, because I always find them very action oriented. They're a lot more conscious about climate change than even a lot of grown-ups. And I always meet so many young people who have ideas, innovations, some even have startups on climate action. But for every bright young person who wants to work in climate change or in the impact space, I always meet a worried parent who comes and asks me, how is my son or how is my daughter going to earn money if they are just behind impact and they want to make a career in climate change, but what will happen to their career? And it's the same question that even my grandmother had asked me. She was worried that I was throwing away a very bright future ahead by working for the environment. But I think the only thing I'd want to say is that times have really changed. I think we live in times of social entrepreneurship. It is possible in this day and age to make a career out of making the world a better place. And in fact, it's only been my experience that whenever you take even a slightly unconventional step, it always propels you 10 steps further than what what you would have otherwise reached. So I really encouraged all of you to start looking at how you can use just 10% of your time and your skill set in solving some real world problems around you. You don't even have to spend all of your time. Just think of 10%. How can, each one of us end up spending about 90,000 hours at work? If we spend even 10% of that, about 10,000 hours, it takes to become an expert at something. So if we spend even 10% of that in solving in impact based work, then all of us would become experts in making the world a better place. So I think just start it at whatever level you can, but start today. Start with action, and you'd find that when you take a decision to work in impact, it also helps your career. So you can have both. Just take that step.
Thank you, Prachi. And this is a very great answer. And many of are having the same question that if we are going to solve the global issues, we may keep suffering later because we are losing the time. But as you mentioned, that this time is very different, and I think the global issues need to be solved first. Then we can think about the other things as well. But or we can just keep parallel going. So make it as a hobby. I would also say that. So just create this as a hobby and contribute to the world issues. And I just say that Samiha, she's having a question that she would like to know more about your application, Cool the Globe. I also shared the link if she can also explore that. But if you want to say quickly how to use it.
Absolutely. No, thank you so much, Samya. That's my favorite question in the world. But how Cool the Globe app works is that it's a free app. You can download it on Play Store and App Store. As soon as you come in, you'll get a monthly and an annual target to reduce your carbon emissions. And then you'll see hundreds of simple day-to-day climate actions you can take across the travel you do, appliances you use, waste segregation, use of materials, energy, food, everything. So from the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep, you'll see so many actions you can take. And I always say start with an action that makes most sense in your life. If you want to be fitter, then start walking more or start cycling. If you want to save money, then shop less, and record all of those actions on the app. And with each action, the app will tell you the CO2 emissions that you're saving. And it'll get added to your monthly meter and you'll see the progress you're making. But a lot of people think, what difference can one person make? We believe that when a lot of people like us come together, then our collective impact can be very big. And so we have a global meter on the homepage of the app, which tracks in real time the emissions being saved by people like you and I combined. And that's the power of collective action. So, citizens like you have come on the app, recorded their climate actions, and saved about 5 million kg emissions till now. This is just the beginning. We have to reach many more. And so we need people like you to come on the app and start taking climate actions.
Thank you, Prachi. I just shared the link. Please explore the Cool the Globe application. I think many of the data already mentioned on Google as well. So feel free to explore. There's a link for you, Prachi. I think you already have answered the question. So one person is asking Suleiman that how you prevent that desire from getting fade, that the inner desire to make some change, and how you keep that going, to maintain that. So I think you already answered the question before, but I would like to ask Liman to contact Prachi directly, as she already shared her contact number as well, and also we shared the LinkedIn profile. So please feel free to connect with our speakers. As we had to wrap this session, we are already, late to wrap the sessions. But I would like to remind our participants that please stay tuned with us as we are going to have our a workshop session, and we are going to interact more regarding your working groups. So please stay here. But it's not a goodbye to the speaker, but it's a see you again, right? So it's time to say bye to our speakers. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we hope that together, collectively, we can work together. And Jeremy, do you have any remarks to say? Over to you.
No, thank you so much. This just like you mentioned, this is only a glimpse of what we can learn from these line of experts. I would really like our participants to remain connected with the experts on board as the times are quite critical. We have a high-level political forum, SDGs will be in-depth discussed in the Summit of the Future and the UNGA. And thank you so much to other activists sharing critical information. I already downloaded the app and I'll spend some more time after the session to explore what's going on there. Thank you so much, Parachi, for this very concrete one action that we can take towards eliminating the impacts of climate crisis. Likewise, Parneet and Ellie, thank you so much for your contributions. Delighted to have you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, last time, as I progressed into the working group session, last time I think we did a great job in, identifying the lead people, and we had about a month of time. Everybody was excited to set their plans moving onward. So I would love to share my screen, and ask if the lead people. In fact, I prefer seeing you also. Let me make my screen instead of sharing my desktop. We can see everybody in this format, I believe. Okay, so this is the time just to get your reflections on what are your plans to organize an event, and we spoke on some other opportunities to raise awareness on the issues that your committee will be addressing. This can be a social media campaign. This can be a graphic-driven reporting that we can still share its content on social media platforms. We spoke on some video campaigns that is possible to organize a newsletter, newspaper, you name it. The floor was yours, to convene and decide. So maybe we can start with the working groups, climate action group, and the lead people were Ashley, Samiha, and Suleiman. If either of you is available, I would love to hear some of your proceedings if you have met, any decisions taken.
Yeah, okay. So my number wasn't logged in with the WhatsApp account, and I think I mailed Miss Priyanka, but it was still not added, so I did not have the contacts of all my members. But I shared the list with Ashley, and Ashley shared a members list with me as well. So we spoke over Instagram, but we could not really connect with the entire team.
I see.
Samina, can you please email me again, because I do not see any email. On which email have you wrote your query?
I think on the email that you sent us the links in, but yeah, sure, I could email again.
Yes, please, because maybe that got into my spam folder, but even my spam folder is empty. I do not see any email. Please email again so I can add you. Sorry for that.
Okay, let's
No worries.
resolve the technical issues. And Suleiman just noted that he will be available later to take the floor. So anytime you let us know. And I think this session was quite good to give some insights on the climate action group. We can partner with our speakers, host them at our events, or I don't know, maybe do some interviews with these climate experts. The plan of action can be a variety of working items. How about Global Health Group? Is Tosmi with us? The chair of Global Health Group? Any progress on that end?
I think I do not see that person as well.
Okay. Anybody else from the Global Health Group members, Surya, Sarah, if anybody was able to get in touch with the rest of the group members?
I'm in Global
Yes.
Health. but
Go
we
ahead.
haven't really talked within the members yet, but I had an idea. I was thinking that making an informational graphic would maybe be the best. And we could pick
Mhm.
a health-related topic. I was thinking either like mental health, because that's a really big worldwide mental health problem that a lot of people are facing. And also for my major and my track, I'm into dentistry. So I was thinking maybe we could speak about oral health as well.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And are you already in touch with Bolmi and Surya? Do you have their numbers or contact info?
I'm only in the WhatsApp group
WhatsApp
chat.
group?
Yeah, but we haven't said anything yet.
Okay, if you don't mind, you can also take the lead to write in the group. And just a note, Priyanka is a medical doctor as well. So we have somebody expert in the room too. And I think she would be, if she has time, interested just to provide some insights, what could be some possible steps. So you can also get in touch with Priyanka just to have an idea, what could be your next steps. But I would love to have an social media engagement, providing either bulletins or any visuals. We may have some individuals in the group who are excelled in creating graphs and everything. So thank you, Sarah. This is a good start, I believe. So let's try to take the next couple of weeks to work on some more concrete actions on how to realize this draft project.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you. So let me
Yes,
just
Sarah, feel free to connect with me. And also, I think creating the visuals is a very important step first, to make the awareness virtually and in the tech era. So we can do great in that. Let me know what are your ideas. Maybe you can just draft a document explaining the step-by-step ideas. And of course, I would love to assist. And hopefully, we will also be finding other active team members in the Global Health Group. Thank you. Over to you, Jamre.
And just to remind everyone, we're doing great on social media engagements, particularly our Twitter account has more than 17,000 followers. Priyanka is doing a great job in boosting our engagements on Instagram, LinkedIn. So please take this opportunity, and every action that we take on social media platforms, we make sure to give proper credit to the individuals behind that initiative, that project, or that content creation. So this could be a great opportunity to increase your visibility as well, as these are important actions to widen your network on social media platforms. How about Interfaith Group?
Yeah, we were not able to officially meet in the group, but then I started messaging the members individually. So about 80% of them have responded, and I plan to have meetings with them within the next few days so that we will know the next step to take. So I intend to start my annual leave on Monday. So from Monday, I think by Wednesday, I should have chatted with each of them and would have something to present.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for the updates, Ayuba.
Thank you.
And please, if Priyanka can share the links as I speak, at United Nations, it should be the second week of February, if I'm not mistaken, but let's double check it. Second week of February is the World Harmony Week. And that's the time at UN where religious leaders, interfaith leaders are sharing their priority areas, doing side events at UN or virtual events. So that could also be a target time for you to initiate any prospective project or action, just to keep in mind, as a feedback. But I look forward to hearing from you on your plans.
Okay, thank you so much. We'll look into that, and then we'll still talk with the members of the group and get back to you on it.
Thank you. Yeah, Priyanka,
Okay,
thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Just take a look at that resource.
All right.
And Fatima, are you now available? I see that you wrote in the chat?
Yes, I'm in quality education, sorry.
Great. Go ahead.
Yeah, last weeks, I guess, we managed to meet and discuss and come up with
Wonderful.
like definition of quality education. But we are preparing to meet next to discuss about on what are we going to focus on more.
Okay. Thank you so much for the feedback. In terms of quality education, I know it might be tight to organize an event, but maybe a social media engagement or a video campaign might work good. August 12th is the World Youth Day, International Youth Day. So again, if Priyanka can bring up some links, that could be a target date. If short in time, you can speak of any other actions, but as we just think out of the box and out loud, I just wanted to bring that up into your attention as well.
Okay, thank you. And we will note it.
Thanks a lot. I see Suleiman's hand up. Please go ahead.
Yes, good day, everyone. Sorry for the inconveniences. I'm back now from the Climate Action Group. I'm one of the lead person, and it's sad for me to say that we are yet to do anything. There was an attempt to have a meeting among ourselves, or even invite an expert in the climate field, which was supported by majority of the members of the group, and also even Mr. Mehmet Kilic shown his support toward it, but sadly we couldn't see it to the end due to many challenges and unforeseen circumstances from me as a lead person. And one of the setbacks was the fact that I was not able to find the remaining lead people so that they can see it to the end, even while I'm not there. So it's a bit challenge, but hopefully this month we'll try and put something to the table. And I would suggest, if possible, let all lead person have a platform where we can know each other and even be motivated by the actions of other groups so that we can contribute more in our various fields, hopefully. Thank you.
Thank you, Suleiman. In terms of filling in the gaps of communications, I think if you write it in the group, as far as numbers are going, I believe majority of the members of the Global Youth Leadership Program is already in WhatsApp. So you can just make a call for either Ashley or Samiha to get in touch with you, or if you can't hear anything still, we can help you get connected. And thank you so much, for taking the initiative to draft the project. December is always a good time to work on something along the lines of COVID. COP conference, I'm sorry. That's on December, right, Priyanka? I'm not mistaken. Or maybe
Yeah,
this
that's
year's
gonna
COP.
be in the November. I'm gonna share the link.
Okay, November. Yeah, we have had virtual side events during the last couple of years as the leaders are convening at COP. All the civil society members are already encouraged to organize anything virtual or hybrid. We can also do like a format of a workshop, convening young leaders and speak of any practical actions or, start a discussion group, anything innovative. I look forward to hearing from the group members.
I can speak for career development, Sahira.
Please go ahead.
There isn't much of an update, but I have spoken to my co-leader briefly, and we're planning on sharing ideas and discussing ideas and objectives and goals to set for the committee. And once we come to a plan or a conclusion, we hope to address the rest of the team in a proper scheduled meeting and getting to know all the members and encourage more brainstorming and goals. And hopefully we can get back to you with a proper plan in the future.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tahira. And please note that we have many outstanding journalists or professional experts in our network who could, for example, address an audience if you want to organize anything on, as I mentioned, how to build up your profile on social media platforms, or how to plan a career path to move forwards in social sciences or diplomacy or journalism, as these are some of the priority areas that we are working on. But if you want to target on any other major field, I would love to help you out by providing resources. So you'll let me know when your plans are more concrete. Thank you
Thank you
for
so
the
much. I have
updates.
that noted. I'll reach out to you.
Thank you. So just let's write it in here that Tahira is also leading the actions.
Jammer, I just have some points to share, very important. So whenever, for example, you plan to work on your specific groups, I mean, even if you don't have any, more ideas, so just think about the social media. So this is the first step that we can, take. So the impact's going to be more. And eventually other people are also going to be, know more about the work that you're doing by being a part of the community members with us at GWF. So you can just, simply record either a video, for example, on the International Youth Day that's coming up on 12th August. Its theme is something related to youth and digitalization and tech and everything. So you can just have a look. I shared all of the links there, also the concept note. So simply, just ask your team members, or maybe just use all of the members in the group and just put a request there. So use that group, the main group, to put anything, to write anything, and asking them to record maybe a video. So we have a great tech team. And I also help that, we can create creative videos out of them. We can combine them and we can make a, future video for all of you to be a part of the International Youth Day. So that's a great opportunity actually, to start. And we are very, very simple with our approaches. We are not making the things very complicated, because we also understand that it's not very easy when you take the steps and receive no guidance. But we are here to guide, and so you can make mistakes, but at least, do some things. Or either you can just write something, some kind of short of a paper, maybe a kind of a blog or article about the issues that you are having. We can publish them on our website, or we can ask our global partners to, to publish them as well. So there are many, many opportunities. So you just, think about how you can utilize your creativity to that specific theme that you are a part of in that specific group. And of course, there is no obligation that you are just a part of one group. You can be a part of different groups as well. So feel free to share your ideas for other groups as well. Eventually, we are here to help each other. We are here to grow together. So just feel free to use that group, I would say. So yeah, back to you, Jammer.
Thank you, Priyanka. I think this was an important reminder, even though we endorse collective action on the workshop session as we formed committees and everything, writing articles or taking individual efforts is also possible, given the extent of our platforms and opportunities that we share with you. We would love to welcome individual actions as well. But that would be great, if the lead people in the groups can take an action, at least to make sure that everybody convenes till the session we have on July. This can be a 30-minute meeting, or even just forming a group and texting with each other, starting an email chain, whatever is more convenient to your group members. And I suggest that if somebody is interested as a group member but still did not hear from his or her lead person, please take the charge. Be in charge, take the lead, and start an action. We wrote the lead people, but it doesn't mean that we cannot change it or make additions to the leadership team. So just note that this is an individual effort, individual self-driven initiative, that we wanted to share this opportunity with you to highlight your skills practice your team working skills, speaking skills, diplomacy skills, you name it. So whichever is your interest area is moving onward, we're here to help you out with the available outreach and resources. So if anybody has any questions, I would love to address. Maybe Priyanka will make some interventions too. If not, I'll start wrapping up the session. Please let us know if you have any questions or if Priyanka has any other reminders, heads up. This is the time.
So thank you, Jamri. I'm just sharing the WhatsApp group link again here in the chat box, just in case, if anybody is still out of the WhatsApp groups, especially some here, I will add you manually, but just in case, if you can join by this link as well, I just share the link. The other thing that I want to remind you all that I have been there where you all are right now. So sometimes the things do not seem easy, but we do not get the opportunities. So whenever you have any opportunity, please utilize that opportunity. And we are connected and associated with the UN Department of Global Communication. That means that being a part of opportunity and try to use that, because this is going to help you not just professionally but also will develop many skills in you that you will be trained and you will be knowing the things, and especially making the things work for you, contributing to the different issues, because even right now UN is focusing and targeting more young people to get involved. Even they have established the UN Youth Affairs office especially for the young people. So why to wait? Why we have to set aside? So just please use this opportunity. This is a very great opportunity, and I strongly recommend that to be active. If you don't have the leader, you do not always need the leader. You can be the leader, just lead the things on your own way, and then others can simply join you. So you have different groups. If you want to be a part of other groups, then we have a different WhatsApp group for every kind of group. Then you can just join if you're not a part of that. And if you want to lead anything, just write in the group, and we are very active to reply anything. We will support you, of course. There's another thing that I want to tell, that time is very precious, and maybe today many of our participants are already on the summer vacations, but time is precious when you are very young. You don't realize, but just use this opportunity. It's a very great opportunity to grow yourself. I would say golden opportunity. We are going to have many opportunities coming up very soon during the September as well. So stay connected, and please take some actions, and we would love to hear anything from you. Either that can be a feedback or a suggestion, or how we can improve, or how we can create some other things, how to engage with you more. So yeah, just wanted to highlight some of the things that, because I have been there, and feel free to even ask me questions if you have. Feel free to reach out to Jamri and Mehmet. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Priyanka, for this vast inspiration that you shared out to wrap up the program. I appreciate that, and just think of our former speakers and try to maybe get inspiration from their backgrounds as well. So this is an open-ended platform where you should be the one taking the lead. The team will not assign you any tasks or assign you any particular project. We want you to initiate it or take the opportunity if you want to. So thank you so much. That was a great session. Thank you to Priyanka for convening today's speakers. She was behind the scene organizing this session particularly. I do appreciate you as always, Priyanka. And let's continue to remain in touch. And please reach out to Priyanka if you're having any technical difficulties to be involved in any WhatsApp group. I'm pretty sure she will get back as soon as possible. And looking forward to see you next time. Bye-bye.
Okay, everyone. Stay connected.
Bye, everyone. Bye.